No-Knead Golden Bread, Turmeric and Black Pepper Anti-Inflammatory Artisan Bread, the gorgeous, beautiful golden bread that you didn't know was missing from your life. Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make a no-knead golden bread, a turmeric and black pepper anti-inflammatory artisan bread. Yes, a no-knead artisan bread that is so good for you because we are going to be using turmeric or turmeric, however you prefer to pronounce it, and by adding some black pepper and a healthy fat source such as either virgin coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil, it brings out the incredible effects of the curcumin in the turmeric. And the curcumin is known for its anti-inflammatory properties. It's an antioxidant. It's even said to be good for your brain, for your heart. It's super good for you. And if you've ever had golden milk, of which I am a huge fan, well, this bread is slightly reminiscent of golden milk because it has a lot of those same ingredients in it, but it's a very mild, subtle flavor. So it's great with anything sweet or savory. And it is gorgeous. It's got that bright yellow color. Everyone is going to flock over and want to try it because it's so different and so beautiful. And most of all, easy. So I am super excited to teach you how to make this. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 3 cups of bread flour plus some more for dusting, a half a teaspoon of active dry yeast, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1 tablespoon of virgin coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil, and 1.5 cups of lukewarm water. Do not be intimidated by the fact that this bread has black pepper in it. It is not spicy at all. It's only 3/4 of a teaspoon for the entire loaf. And the same goes for the virgin coconut oil. If you go with the coconut oil, it's really just a touch of it and it really doesn't strongly affect the flavor. It's mild and delicious. You will also need some oven mitts, some plastic wrap and some parchment paper, some dry measuring cups, a wet measuring cup, some measuring spoons, a large bowl, either a dough whisk or a serving fork for mixing your dough, and a large kitchen spoon. And you'll also need either a lame or a sharp knife for scoring your dough, and you'll need a cooling rack. And finally, you will need a Dutch oven with a lid or a heavy pot with a lid. You just have to be sure that the pot, the lid, and the knob can withstand high temperatures, as we're going to be placing this in the oven for quite a while at 450 degrees. I always recommend that if you don't have a Dutch oven, you can also use a Latin style cazuela, which is a lot less expensive. Just make sure it has a metal knob, and I actually feature a replacement knob and a cazuela in my Sally, that girl in the kitchen Amazon store in case you want to check those out. They work just as well and are definitely less expensive than most large Dutch ovens. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is grab your large bowl and add 3 cups of bread flour to it. Then measure out half a teaspoon of active dry yeast and sprinkle that right on top. Then you're going to want to add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Kosher salt works beautifully in this bread, and since there's no kneading, we don't have to worry about tearing up any gluten strands. It just works perfectly. And then of course we're going to add the star of the show, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, It's going to make an amazing color. And then your 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground black pepper. And then I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of virgin coconut oil. But in order to pour that in, I'm going to warm it up. It could take about 10 or 15 seconds in the microwave, depending on the strength, to make it turn back into liquid form. And then, of course, I'm going to bring over my 1.5 cups of water. And I'm also going to pop that in my microwave for about maybe 40 seconds, of course, depending, as I said, on the microwave. You want it lukewarm, warm to the touch, not piping hot. You don't want to kill the yeast. And then you're going to pour that right into your bowl. And then all you're going to do is either grab a dough whisk, or of course you can use a serving fork. I use that many times to make different kinds of dough, and that works very well too, but this tool is also super handy. And then you're just going to turn the bowl and turn the tool and just scrape down the sides of your bowl to incorporate all of that white flour. So the good news is, with this particular type of dough, you're going to know you've mixed enough when you don't see white flour anymore, and the entire mixture has turned this beautiful golden yellow. It's so beautiful and bright. The turmeric is an incredible natural food coloring. It just looks spectacular. And as I said earlier, it's just going to impart a very mild flavor into our bread. And it's just good for you, and it's gorgeous. Look at that bright yellow dough. Tell me that's not absolutely stunning. I just love it. So now, our dough is ready. No kneading whatsoever. I promised this would be a no-knead bread, and it is a no-knead bread. We just mixed it together, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover our bowl with plastic wrap, because we want to help keep the moisture in and help that dough not dry out, because we're going to set this out for a minimum of 4 hours or overnight. I'm going to be doing it overnight, so I prepared this the evening before. I picked a nice secluded little corner of my kitchen, and I'm just going to let it sit there overnight. I'm aiming for about 12 hours, but you want to go with a minimum of 4 to get a beautiful rise out of your bread. And that's it. It's like magic. So the next morning, you'll notice that your bowl is a lot fuller because, of course, that dough has had a chance to slowly rise. So now you're going to place your cold Dutch oven, cover and all, into your cold oven. And then you're going to set your oven to 450 degrees. And you'll also set a timer for 45 minutes. You want this really hot. So as soon as you pop that in there, you're going to go over to your bowl. You're going to uncover it. Don't get rid of that plastic wrap. We're going to use it again. And then we are going to shape our beautiful bread into a bowl shape. Beautiful golden bowl. So I laid out a sheet of parchment paper onto our counter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a spoon and I'm going to just sprinkle out a little bit of that same bread flour right on the parchment paper. And then just using my hand, I'm just going to spread that flour out. That's really going to help my dough from sticking. So I'm going to bring over my bowl, and then I'm going to use my hands to gently help the dough release itself from the bowl. So you see, I'm just using my fingertips, and I'm just gently between gravity and my fingers allowing that dough to release from the bowl. Look at those beautiful strands of gluten. Looks spectacular, and that color, incredible. And it has a delicious smell, and it's still raw. So imagine as this bakes, it's going to smell incredible. So now you see how very gently, I'm just gently separating the dough from the bowl and just allowing it to land right on that floured parchment. There we go. We got all of our dough out. And then what we want to do is we want to sprinkle both our hands and the top of that dough with a little bit of flour. This is just going to make it easier to shape our dough. And you see how I use my hands to release that dough from the parchment. And then of course you can add more flour as needed. And what you're looking to do is to fold the dough as if you were folding a letter in 3 parts. You're going to take both of the outer ends and fold them each over the center of the dough. And then you're going to flip the dough over so the seam side is down. And you see how I use the edge of my hand and my fingertips to just kind of bring the dough together and make sure it's a beautiful round shape. Then using the spoon, I'm going to give it one more sprinkle of bread flour, but then I'm going to spread it out using my hands. I love this part. The dough feels amazing at this point. And then remember that plastic that we used to cover our bowl? We're just going to bring it over. We're going to cover our dough because we don't want it drying out. And then we're going to allow our dough to rest, just sitting there covered on the counter while our Dutch oven is heating up in the oven. And we're going to get our flour and our spoon and our lame ready, because a few minutes before the timer on the oven goes off, that is when we're going to want to come in, uncover our dough, and then we're going to prepare it for the oven. So what we do is we grab our spoon, we give it a final dusting of flour, and then we're just going to, just like before, smooth it out. You go a little more generous with this final dusting because you want that rustic bread shop look. It's just going to look absolutely stunning. And then you get a lame, which is basically a razor with a holder or a sharp knife. And you're going to give one cut vertically and then another one horizontally to form a plus so that it opens up beautifully. While baking, we'll get that traditional lip on our artisan bread. And now the timer has gone off, and using your oven mitts, you want to pull out that piping hot Dutch oven. You're going to take off your lid, and then you're going to use the parchment paper to carefully, without touching the Dutch oven, place your bread in it. Make sure to put your mitts back on. You're going to cover your Dutch oven, and you're going to replace it back into your oven. You're going to set a 30-minute timer to allow it to begin baking. Then after 30 minutes, you're going to bring it out. You're going to uncover it, of course, with your oven mitts. It's piping hot. Look at that steam. And it's already looking spectacular. Look at the colors. Unreal. You're going to pop it back in the oven uncovered, and you're going to set a 7-minute timer to allow it to finish baking. And once those 7 minutes are up, you're going to bring out your bread. And it is absolutely stunning. Look at that contrast between that last coating of flour that we added onto our dough and the interior of this bread, which has that gorgeous bright yellow color. I told you this was going to be unreal. And the smell of fresh bread is absolutely divine. So I'm going to carefully, using the parchment paper, remove the bread from the hot Dutch oven. Remember, never touch the inside or outside of that Dutch oven with your hands. It's piping hot. And look at how gorgeous this bread looks. I'm obsessed. It's absolutely stunning. So now I'm going to remove that parchment from underneath the bread so that I can allow the bread to cool on the cooling rack. Now, this is the hardest part. You have to let it cool. You have to let it sit for at least 45 minutes before cutting it. Do not attempt to cut it before then, because then you're just going to squish that beautiful rise and all those beautiful air pockets that have formed. You don't want to squish them. You really have to resist the temptation to cut into it immediately, because the results will be so much better. You're going to give your bread a chance to rest and relax, and it's going to be spectacular when you cut into it. So now, listen to that beautiful sound. The outside is crispy, beautiful. Wow, take a look at the gorgeous color of the inside of this bread. Excuse the dusty hands. Wow, 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 how spectacular. You see the air pockets that run throughout because we let it have an overnight rise. It's just so gorgeous. Look at the inside. It's really unreal. This is naturally colored bread, and it's tasty, and it's really got a very soft crumb, but the outside, the exterior has that crispiness to it. It's just absolutely an incredible combination of textures and that color. I mean, I've said it at least 3 times. I am obsessed with the color of that bread. It's just so gorgeous. Look at that beautiful crumb. It's really spectacular. If you make this bread, or should I say, when you make this bread, everyone is going to be in awe. It just looks so pretty, and look at how soft the interior of the crumb is. But that crusty exterior is just perfect. Honestly, no-knead bread is a marvel. I mean, the interior crumb is soft, just absolutely perfect. And then it's got that beautiful crust on the outside. This is so tasty. I wanted to try it by itself first because it's just so gorgeous, and I really wanted to take that flavor in. Absolutely divine. And it's perfect, as I said, by itself or with anything sweet or savory. It's absolutely yummy. And you know what? I'm gonna try it with a little bit of olive oil and this delicious spice mixture that I prepare myself. This is going to be even more spectacular. And of course, by adding that olive oil in, it's just going to be luscious and delicious. See, this is a perfect bread, as I said, for dipping, savory or sweet. Delicious. It is so good. It's perfect with whatever you serve it. Eat it plain, dip it in something savory, spread on your favorite jam. No matter how you eat it, it is divine. So didn't I tell you this bread was going to be absolutely gorgeous? I mean, look at the color of this bread. I have not modified the color at all in this video, and you see just how bright and beautiful and just golden and gorgeous it is. And it's soft, but it's got that crispy exterior, and of course when you toast it, it's also incredible. It is so good. Can you tell I am a huge fan? I'm so excited about developing this recipe because honestly, it's really blown my hair back. It's spectacular, and I really think you're gonna love it. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like it, to write a sweet comment, to share it with your friends. Thank you so much for sharing my videos. It really helps my channel grow. So thank you so much for that. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to Sally, That Girl in the Kitchen here on YouTube, stop what you're doing, go over and subscribe and touch that little notification bell so that you get notified every time I put up an amazing, interesting, different, really spectacular, easy recipe for you. And I'm putting them up all of the time. And of course, go over to my playlist tab and explore. There's so many different recipes already there, and I break them up by playlists to make it a little easier for you to find those amazing recipes that I've already put up on my channel. And of course, if you're not following me on social media, you can find me as Sally, That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally, That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. Oh, and I almost forgot my Amazon store. I have a Sally That Girl in the Kitchen Amazon store, and that link is always at the top of my Facebook page. It's pinned there, and now it's actually at the top of my Instagram page too, to make it easy for you to find. And I also feature it on the banner of my YouTube channel, where you can click on it if you're watching my channel on an iPad or on a computer. So you should be able to find it, and I feature a lot of the different tools that I use when making these videos in my store, so definitely check that out. So once again, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sally That Girl in the kitchen.